Alright, problem working on today out here with the 94 Cobra is, of all things, the window has rolled up too far and has become stuck. Let's see if I explain the problem. If you look on here, you can see this is supposed to be flush with this, and the front half of the window has gone up too far. And now, you can try to roll it down with the switch, it's stuck. So, I guess this isn't real common, but it does happen. There's a couple different things that can cause it. One of the things that I'm guessing might have happened is there's a metal stop that's glued to the glass that can come unglued and shift and can cause it not to be able to stop, and it goes up too high. So I'm going to take it apart and see if that's the problem. So to take apart the door in a 94 to 2004 Mustang, if you have the Mach 460 sound system like I did, you'll have a speaker cover and a speaker that's mounted right here. The speaker cover grill just pries off, and if it's never been off, it's going to be on there pretty tight, so you need to pop a little flathead screwdriver or trim removal tool between the mesh and the speaker, pry that off, and there'll be one Phillips head screw that goes through the middle of the speaker and screws it to the door. Once you take out that screw, the speaker pulls up and off, and there's a wire that you need to disconnect. Next thing you have to do is remove this piece of trim right here. Alright, to remove this piece, you basically want to pry from the top, like that, and then it pops out. And then to remove it completely, there's two Phillips head screws that hold the bottom of the wiring into the switch. Remove those two Phillips head screws and you'll be able to remove this completely. Alright, after you get that off, there's one Phillips head screw here, and you may have another one right here. In my case, I don't, but you want to remove those screws. Then the door handle puller, you can pry along the top of it with the screwdriver carefully. See, that comes out like that. Okay, and then if you come around to the front of the door panel, there's a little black plastic push rivet. You need to just pry that straight out of there as well. Once you get that rivet out of there, you just reach at the bottom of the door, pry up, and you'll see that the whole panel will want to come off. Just be advised, there is a harness back here that you need to disconnect. That is your one-touch relay motor controller for the power window. So if you're going to want to do any troubleshooting, that has to be plugged in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set the door panel down gently on the ground here. That way I can still leave it connected and troubleshoot this. To get in here and see what's going on, you'll need to remove this waterproof shield. Just be careful not to destroy it. That way you can get in here and see what's going on. And to really get access to this, I'm going to need to take out these two Phillips head screws here that hold this. This is a little bracket for the speaker. That needs to come off as well. Well, in my case, I think I found the problem. This is just lying down in the bottom of the door, and it looks like someone has tried to fix it before. This is the stopper I was telling you about. And this is where, right here, it's glued onto the bottom of the window. And when it rolls up, this piece makes contact and stops the window from going up any further. But as you can see, it's just lying in the bottom of the door. So we'll have to see if there's any way that I can reconnect that to the window. Alright, so I was finally able to get the window rolled down. And if you have the problem like me, where your window was stuck in the up position, the only advice I can give you to get it to come down is, and you might want to have helper for this, but one person apply pressure to the top of the window, firm, even pressure down, while the other person is pushing the window switch down. I finally got just enough pressure. I mean, it feels almost like you're going to break it, that to get it unjammed, and the motor had enough power to then to pull it down. Once it gets pulled down, it's pulled into place, it's on track. Just make sure until we get it fixed that you do not put it all the way back up, otherwise it'll just get jammed again. So you can see what's going on here. Here is this side where the window is glued on to this metal piece that rides up and down the track on this side. And then it's probably going to be really hard to see, but in here, up along the, let's see if I can get to where you can see. It's going to be the fun part. At any rate, up on the front of the window, I know you can't see this, that piece that came off, this piece right here, that was actually glued onto the window at the very front of the window, way up here. Now how it ended up down in the bottom of the door back here, I don't know, but we're going to have to try to glue this back onto the front of the window. And the proper way to do it is probably to remove the glass and take this to a shop and have it redone. I'm going to do a little research, see if there's any kind of epoxy or anything that I can buy. And it looks like someone, the previous owner, there was only one previous owner of this car, must have tried to fix this themselves, because it's almost like a silicone or something they used on there. But I think to get to that, you remove the speaker here in the door and you'll have access to the bottom of the glass on this side. So when the window goes up, there's a stop inside of the door here that you can't see, and that's what it hits. And since that's not there, it allows the window to go up too high and it gets jammed. Alright, here's the bracket out so you can see what's going on here. It looks like from the factory they used some type of silicone, a flexible silicone adhesive. And I've been doing a lot of reading on this, and I might just try to use JB Weld. There's something also called E6000, which I'll see if I can pick that up at Walmart. But I'm going to try to clean this track out really good. Anybody who's ever tried to clean up silicone knows it's kind of a pain to get off. But I'm going to clean that out real good. And then how this works is you fill this track up with the glue. You slide this back up in the door this way. This little white piece here actually fits into the window track, and then this gets pushed up on the bottom of the window. And you want to make sure that the window is pushed evenly down into the bottom of this, and when you do that, the glue will push out of these holes right here. In order to do that, you set it into the track, the white part here, and then force this up onto the glass. And how I found, it's hard to really show on the car, but this is the stop that stops it from going up. So as you can see, every time you put the window up, when that stop hits up here, it's basically ripping the glue off the glass. This is a completely horrible, horrible design on Ford's part. There should be a hole in the glass. There should be at least 2 bolts bolting this to the glass. I mean, this is just one of the worst designs I've ever seen, but it's pretty common. So this actually rides on the track. You want to glue this back onto the bottom of the glass. So the key is getting in there, cleaning the glass up really good, cleaning this up really good, and using a good glass to metal adhesive. And you really have a lot of options, but I just wanted to show you out here on the bench where it's a little easier to see what the problem is and possibly how to fix it. Alright, so I picked up a tube of this E6000. It's about $4 at Walmart. Supposedly this stuff's supposed to work really good to bond the metal to the glass. Just make sure that you get all of the old adhesive off the best that you can, off the bracket piece and the window part. Then I'm going to apply a generous amount of this into the channel, the metal channel, and then I'm going to install it in place. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to get the camera inside of the door to show you this, since it's only space to work in there with one hand, but I think you'll get the idea once you look at it. Alright, so here we are looking up in the door. See, that's the bracket. It's got glue all over it. But here's the track right here that it has to go into. And this is looking through the speaker hole here. So there's the window. It's rolled down about 3/4 of the way, a little bit more. And that bracket is glued to the bottom. Get around this wire. The track. Okay. That glue looks like a big mess with this flash on, but it's not as bad as it looks. As long as it holds, that's all we care about. We don't really care about how it looks, since you won't see this inside the door. Yeah. So there it is in place. We're going to let this dry. I'm going to let this dry like 3 days minimum, and then come back and see if it holds and put the window up. Alright, so I got that piece glued back onto the bottom of the window, and when I rolled it up I still had a little bit of a problem. The part that I glued on actually makes contact with a stop in here that's bolted in. How you can look at that is the channel sits up here in the window. This just pries out. So we've got that out of the way. And then down in here, if you're looking at the door, there is a hole here. You take out the bolt and then carefully reach down in here and pull the stopper out. What I had to, and the stopper looks something like this. It's got a nut welded onto the back of it. There's this little tab that engages up in here where it slides down. What I had to do was weld on a little bit more metal, because I think what I did is I accidentally glued that piece to the window just a little bit off. Well, basically what it was doing is the window was coming up and it was jumping over this piece here and getting stuck, wedged up. So I had to add a little bit of material sticking out further this way. And I'll show you how that looks. Put it in here. So I go to slide this back down in to make sure that the little tab engages its little spot. And as you can see, that sits down in there like that. When it's bolted in, it will pull it just a little bit away from the glass, just to give it enough clearance for the window to go up and for the stopper to hit. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. Alright, so here's what it looks like. The stopper bolted back in place down in here. Okay. And then I'll show you what happens when the window is rolled up. I can get that on camera here. I'll get this so you can see what happens. I don't know if you can see. This is at a weird angle now, but the stopper on the window track is hitting the bottom of that, keeping the window from going up. So essentially the window is fixed. Just hold the button and it stops it. Keeps it from going up too far. There we go. So like I said, this, I might have been able to just bend this stopper out a little bit, and that might have worked, but I wanted something that I know was a little bit stronger, a little more permanent, so I chose to weld it a little bit. I'm not sure why it was off. Like I said, it might be how I glued that that piece to the window. It might have been just a hair off. So, but it works. So now I have to put everything back together and we'll be all fixed. So like I said, I hope this video helps you a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. Thanks.